I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration.
Dismissing me out of hand by attacking my motive is not going to work. And telling me that my question is an insult to the children who died in Texas in a flood is an outrageous response. You get the middle finger in the face from me for doing that.
Trump has backed himself into a corner with a miserable, miserable response. Dan Bongino's done poorly. Kash Patel has done poorly. Pam Bondi has done poorly. And so it's hard for me to believe that all of these abject failures in the response in the Epstein story are an accident. Though they probably are. I'm just saying, like, isn't it hard to believe they screwed up this bad?
It's not just like you're covering up criminal activity. You're covering up the systemic rape and torture of children. That's too evil, man.
All right, so the Epstein files situation just keeps getting so much worse. I don't think I've ever seen this much blatant gaslighting and lying. I mean, it's basically impossible to ignore it at this point, even for Trump's biggest supporters. It's also getting increasingly more difficult for people to explain this in a way where it doesn't look like the government is trying to cover up a child sex trafficking operation. That's why the only thing they can really do at this point is convince people to stop talking about it, because there's no way to explain this and not make the administration look absolutely terrible. You know, they completely botched this thing so badly. I mean, first they claimed there was a list which needed to be exposed and everybody needed to be held accountable, and they would be the ones to do it. So they pretended to give it out, but then they admitted they rickrolled us, and they got a ton of backlash. So then they said they received a truckload of documents and videos that they were going through. But then once they went through that, it turns out there's no evidence of anybody being involved in Epstein's operation. There's no client list. And then they got a ton of backlash from that. So they said there actually was a client list. They didn't want to release it though, because it was created by Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. So first there's a list, then there's no list. Now there's a list again, but it's fake. So it's like they're not even trying at this point. I mean, this is the most desperate and pathetic attempt at a cover-up ever. And then just recently, a reporter asked Trump if his attorney general saw his name in the Epstein files, which is a great question, and Trump's response is hilarious. He starts talking about the credibility of the files, which again, just last week, they said there were no files, but now they're files, but he doesn't trust the credibility, of course. I wonder why. And after he's asked about it, he's like, Pam Bondi gave me a briefing, and in terms of the credibility, I'd say those files were made by Obama and Biden. I mean, he doesn't even sound very confident in his lies anymore. You know, he's asked if his name is in the Epstein files, and he's just like, you can't trust them. Obama probably made them. I mean, he even says it like he's speculating, like he's just coming up with that. I mean, he might as well just be like, yeah, she saw my name in there, but odds are Obama probably put it in there. And then he was asked about it another time, and he's like, I don't know why anyone cares. You know, the credible information's out there. It's been given. It's also so boring, and only bad people in the fake news care about keeping the story going. And he's saying all this while standing next to Jeffrey Epstein's former neighbor and business associate, and the guy's laughing while Trump is talking about this. So it's completely ridiculous. And the 180 that Trump and his administration did is also insane. You know, they're trying to gaslight everyone like we're all just NPCs. I mean, Dan Bongino, Trump's deputy director of the FBI, used to tell people there's way more to the Epstein story and we should continue talking about it because the government is trying to cover it up. But now Trump and Dan are saying it's boring, people need to move on from it, and they're helping cover it up. So the fact that they expect us to just accept this and move on like nothing happened is insulting to everyone's intelligence.
Why do you think your supporters in particular have been so interested in the Epstein story and so upset about how it's been handled?
I don't understand it. Why they would be so interested. He's dead for a long time. He was never a big factor in terms of life. I don't understand what the interest or what the fascination is.
Why do they want to make this Jeffrey Epstein story go away so bad? Because the people in charge of this global cabal of idiots out there trying to hide the truth don't want you to hear about this story and have the power to censor it.
And the credible information's been given, but I don't understand why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody. It's pretty boring stuff. It's sordid, but it's boring. And I don't understand why it keeps going. I think really only pretty bad people, including fake news, want to keep something like that going. But
we need to keep the heat on this case, folks. There are a lot of people who are knee-deep in the Washington swamp who are not telling you the truth about serious allegations out there that Epstein may have had video and audio of people out there. This Epstein thing is there's more than meets the eye there. I know a lot of people want to make this thing go away. That Jeffrey Epstein story is a big deal. Please do not let that story go. Keep your eye on this.
You had the file. Attorney General Pam Bondi.
A very quick briefing.
Did she tell you, what did she tell you about the review? And specifically, did she tell you at all that your name appeared in the file?
No. She's given us just a very quick briefing. And in terms of the credibility of the different things that they've seen, and I would say that, these files were made up by Comey. They were made up by Obama. They were made up by the Biden. We went through years of that.
Oh, boy. This thing is just getting nastier by the second. The question is, why were they talking to him and what were they trying to make go away? Does it have anything to do with the extensive video network alleged to have existed on his island and on his plane?
So maybe Trump should ask Dan why he thinks the Epstein files are so interesting, or Cash, or Pam, or J.D. Vance, or most of his administration. They're all talking about how we need to hold these people accountable up until about 6 months ago. They went from trying to expose Epstein clients to helping cover for them. Like, if Dan Bongino were still just a podcaster during this, he'd be all over it. He wouldn't believe any of this bullshit they're trying to put out. Like the whole tape of Epstein's cell that apparently proved he killed himself. I don't know what the hell that was supposed to be. It didn't even show Epstein's cell. It was edited and cut up and missing a couple minutes of footage. But Dan claimed this was evidence that showed clear as day that nobody went into Epstein's cell. And he also claimed they were giving us original footage, which again is just another lie on top of the thousands already.
There's video that when you look at the video, and we will release, that's what's taken a while on this. We are working on cleaning it up to make sure you have an enhanced, and we're going to give the original so you don't think there were any shenanigans. You're going to see there's no one there but him. Right. There's just nobody there. So I say to people all the time, if you have a tip, let us know. But there's no DNA, there's no audio, there's no fingerprints, there's no suspects, there's no accomplices, there's no tips, there is nothing. If you have it, I'm happy to see it. There's video clear as day. He's the only person in there and the only person coming out. You can see it.
So it's telling you don't trust anyone, me included. We don't bring receipts, throw it out the window.
But how Epstein died, or if he died, I think is mostly just a red herring at this point. They'd rather have us focused on that than the client list. They'd rather have us focused on almost anything other than the list. Like, Trump is so desperate, he's now reportedly calling and having meetings with influencers and politicians to try to get them to stop talking about it and to get them to defend Pam Bondi because she's getting a lot of heat and people want her to step down. So apparently Charlie Kirk got the call. He said he's done talking about it and he trusts the government, which sounds completely ridiculous. We're literally watching the government try to gaslight us and lie to our faces and try to cover it up. And Charlie's just like, yeah, I think they're doing a good job. I trust what they're doing. It's already hard to trust the government, but especially when it comes to the Epstein files and them claiming that there are no files, or now there are files. It depends on the day. Sometimes they exist, sometimes they don't. But now apparently they do exist and they're fake. We're just supposed to believe that. Apparently Charlie does. He trusts his friends in the government, his friends that are trying to cover for Jeffrey Epstein. When is reality going to hit these people? Like, they're really going to go down trying to cover for Epstein. That's crazy. Like, also Stephen A. Smith, he was going off about how he doesn't care about it, even though he admits that there probably is a client list, but it just doesn't matter to him at all. And I don't know if he got a call from Trump or if he's just out of his mind. And then also Matt Gaetz reportedly met with Trump, and now he keeps praising Pam Bondi and Cash Patel. So this is like when the mainstream media gets a call from the higher ups to try to push a narrative. It's the same kind of thing.
I'm done talking about Epstein for the time being. I'm going to trust my friends in the administration. I'm going to trust my friends in the government to do what needs to be done, solve it, balls in their hands. I've said plenty this last weekend. So if you guys want to see my commentary on it, that's fine.
You're in an uproar off the Epstein list? That's all you've got? It's really, really surprising that this matters. Of course, I think there's a list, but I don't know. I suspect, but I have no knowledge, nor do I care. It's Friday night. I'm getting ready to go out and enjoy myself. I'm getting ready to have a nice weekend. I could give a damn about the client list, the Epstein client list. It has no effect on me whatsoever. I have a life. I don't understand for the life of me why this matters so much to these. I'm talking about people losing it. They're crying on camera. They're talking about resignations.
And I'm going to make the case that even though there are unanswered questions about Epstein, it is in fact time to move on. Part of being on a political team is maintaining a certain amount of maturity recognizing you can't win them all, recognizing there are some things that are important to you that are less important to the guy that you've put in charge, who is trying to focus on things right in front of him. And so having a sense of perspective, having a sense of balance, having a sense of maturity, I think is more important even than getting to the bottom of what really happened.
Explain to me what you think the nonsense is here.
Well, frankly, the fact that you're even covering this. I mean, I don't even understand, frankly, why we're spending a lot of time on Jeffrey Epstein. You know, the fact is he was a pedophile who was arrested. He committed suicide, and his, fixer, if you will, is being prosecuted. So at the end of the day, if there are people who were part of any crimes, then they should be prosecuted. But in the absence of that, what exactly are we looking to do? The information is there. It is well documented what he did, and beyond that, what exactly are we looking for?
Let's start with Pam Bondi. The Attorney General always takes a lot of flack in any administration, but look at what she has accomplished. The Bondi team successfully litigated away the judicial coup of nationwide injunctions. Attorney General Pam Bondi is a star and has our full admiration and support. Which Trump AG would you replace Pam Bondi with? Barr? Sessions? Rosen? She's the best, and we appreciate her service. And at the FBI, some have suggested that they aren't keen on cash anymore. Look at where we've been at the FBI. It used to be a dumpster fire.
So I don't know how much longer these people can keep it up, because also they get a ton of shit for it. You know, they're clearly just trying to cover. And also they always say they're done talking about it, but then I'm sure they'll keep talking about it. You know, it's like Trump being like, why does everyone care about this? When his attorney general did a whole press tour about it. I mean, every week she was on Fox talking about the files on her desk and the videos and the tapes, and she released those binders. So she's been bringing a lot of attention to it and overpromised on everything. And then Trump says she's doing a great job. And it turns out Trump is continuing to talk about it, because while I was wrapping up this video, he just made another Truth Social post, and he said their new scam, the Democrats, is what we will forever call the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. And my past supporters have bought into this bullshit hook, line, and sinker. They haven't learned their lesson and probably never will. Even after being conned by the left lunatics for 8 long years, I've had more success in 6 months than perhaps any president in our country's history. And all these people want to talk about, with strong prodding by the fake news and the success of starved Democrats, is the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. Let these weaklings continue forward and do the Democrats' work. Don't ever think about talking of our incredible and unprecedented success, because I don't want their support anymore. So now he wants people to refer to the Jeffrey Epstein story as a hoax. You know, apparently it's complete BS now. And if you're talking about it, he doesn't want your support anymore, and you're just falling for the left-wing media's trap. So I think Trump honestly might be cooked at this point. I don't know if there's coming back from this. I mean, this just makes no sense. I don't know how anybody could defend this anymore, and it's almost impossible not to blame Trump at this point. And I'm sure it'll just keep getting worse from here too. So make sure you subscribe to stay updated, and make sure you check out my Patreon account. If you want to hear about how Joe Rogan's handler might be an Epstein client, he was meeting with Epstein even after he's a convicted sex offender, and he took a giant loan from him too. And also, Epstein associates have been using his podcast to try to vindicate themselves and clear their name. And there's a lot of other Epstein content and just a ton of other stuff, over 140 exclusive videos. There's a lot to go through. So if you want to stay up to date with everything and hear about everything going on behind the scenes, that's the best way to do it. Make sure you check it out. There'll be a link in the description.
All it is the Republicans, certain Republicans got duped by the Democrats, and they're following a Democrat playbook. They're started by the Democrats, and some Republicans, in this case I was surprised, but they got duped.
So I'm gonna go throw up, actually. I mean, I'm physically gonna puke probably right now. My mouth is watering right now. It's because